Hello, this is Dr. Michael Arnheim here again with Bernard Bear. Bear with me. Say hello, Bernard. Hello. Wave. Hello. Bernard is my partner in these videos. If you've watched any of the previous ones or the subsequent ones, you'll know that he is very, very independent in his views, aren't you, Bernard? Yes. And extremely well informed, aren't you, Bernard? Yes. And slightly opinionated, aren't you, Bernard? If you say so. All right, well, I did say so. So now, what I want to talk about on this video is about the guns in America, especially in the wake of the Parkland shooting in Florida, in the school over there, in February 2018. Most horrendous incident in which 17 people, mostly kids, school kids, were savagely murdered, and also a couple of teachers. Now, unfortunately, this is not the first incident of its kind. There have been too many. There was Sandy Hook in 2012, Aurora in Colorado, also in 2012, San Bernardino in California, 2015, the Sutherland Springs Church in Texas in November 2017, the dreadful Las Vegas mass killing of 58 people, plus a whole lot injured, in February 2018. And now we have the Stoneman Douglas School in Parkland, Florida, in which 17 died. There's been an awful lot of talk about how to solve this problem. Unfortunately, not much progress has been made. One topic that has been talked about a lot is the type of weapon that was used. It's called an AR-15, AR-15, which used to be called the Colt AR-15 because it was manufactured by Colt originally, but the license expired, the patent expired, I think, in 1977, and since then anybody can manufacture a similar weapon. So it's a very popular weapon, but actually not used that much in ordinary murders, but in these mass murders it has been the weapon of choice. In all the ones I've mentioned, Sandy Hook, Aurora, San Bernardino, Sutherland Springs, Las Vegas, and now Stoneman Douglas, this was the weapon used, AR-15. So it's classified as a semi-automatic, some people would say assault weapon. Should assault weapons be banned? Well, actually, assault weapons were banned in America in 1994, but that law had a sunset clause attached to it, which meant it expired in 2004, and no attempts to revive it have been successful. Maybe that is one thing that should be done. Bump stock, something no one had heard of, or very few people outside the gun interest had heard of before the Las Vegas shooting. That was used by the Las Vegas mass murderer to turn a semi-automatic weapon into an automatic, effectively an automatic weapon. Should they be banned? Because at the moment, there's no ban on bump stocks. It's just something you add to your weapon. It's not a weapon in itself. there's been a lot of talk about that, which certainly makes sense to ban that. Another thing, for example, President Donald Trump has been talking about, is arming teachers or retired military to be in attendance to take on any prospective killer. Well, that I think is more problematical, and most teachers seem to be opposed to it. Should teachers be armed? They would need to be trained specially for this. They would need concealed carry permits. I think, frankly, it's not a particularly good idea, because also they would have to spring into action very quickly in order to counter a murderer like this. Very, very difficult thing to do. Retired military, the same. Another thing that's been referred to many times is enforced background checks, because background checks are required for purchasing firearms, but they're not always properly enforced. And America, being such a big country and being a federal country, requires the cooperation of a number of different organizations to achieve anything, which doesn't always happen. And we found a lot of people slipping through the cracks. And there's also talk in terms of mental health. People with mental health difficulties, people who are in danger of harming themselves or others, should be prevented from owning guns. Yes, that's fine, except that you normally only find out that somebody has mental problems after it's too late. Then there's the question of gun-free zones. Certain areas are demarcated as gun-free zones. In fact, Aurora, the cinema there, that whole shopping centre, is a gun-free zone, where that didn't stop a major massacre from taking place. Some say gun-free zones are bad because that would prevent these guards or teachers, anyone, or ex-military, from being armed as well. But of course, another thing is the age that people are able to buy these weapons at. At present, an 18-year-old can buy an AR-15 because it's a rifle. He can't buy a handgun. He can't buy a can of beer, but can buy an AR-15. Well, that, people have said that must be changed. The age must be raised to 21. That's fine, but that's not going to make much difference. A lot of the killers have been over 21 anyway. But there is actually a solution which has got nothing to do with guns directly, and I don't know why it hasn't been mentioned more often, and that is having metal detectors at school entrances and other places which are prospective targets. Can't have metal detectors everywhere, but airports, for example, and certain public buildings are protected in this way at the moment, and it has been fairly effective. Of course, it's not foolproof. Nothing is. What do you think? Bear has been very silent so far. Metal detectors? Yes. Jaguar, what do you think? Don't know. Jaguar is keeping neutral on this point. But I think metal detectors, because Jaguar, I think Jaguar, you are all metal, aren't you? That's the problem, aren't you? Not telling. Jaguar isn't very, very cooperative, really, in that regard. But metal detectors aren't that expensive, and if they can be in every airport, I don't see why they can't be in every school and other public buildings. They are in certain ones already. I leave you with that thought. Metal detectors. Try it.